Alright. There we go. We're live. We are live. Yes, we are. Okay. There we go. There we go. There we go. We gonna rock, 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 rock. I am late all the time. That is my fault. The older I get, the more I completely understand Peter Parker's impossibly dog shit time management. Like, even not being a superhero, I get it. This whole doing multiple things at once is like counter-human. There we go. Alright. We gotta stream the same time as Ethan? Who the hell is Ethan? Like Ethan Hawke? Ethan Van Sciver? Ethan Bradbury? Wait, am I streaming the same time as Ethan from H3H3? That'd be insane. Oh, my pimples, that hurts. Actually, no, fuck it. I'm gonna activate my inner MCR fan. There we go. Oh god. Oh god. Alright, trying to part my hair. This is definitely more than I bargained for. Oh god. That's alright. Ethan Van Sciver. I actually used to follow Ethan Van Sciver. But I kind of stopped because it just kind of felt like, I mean, no disrespect to him, but I feel like the whole Comicsgate crew, it got away from just wanting to be about comics and it just turned into like the exact politicking that I was trying to go to his channel to escape. It just kind of felt like the polar extreme of that, but I don't know. Then again, this is like 4 or 5 years ago, so I'm not sure if the channel just kind of went back to cool comic stuff, but I don't know. He's still a cool artist. I have not read Cyberfrog though. Shit, that might get me canceled saying that I like Ethan Van Sciver's art, but whatever. It's a little big funny fat man. That's like 90% of comics dudes, to be honest. Oh man. Dude, that reminds me, I'm having a time with this like Twitter shit. Like, if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I might delete it. But comic book Twitter is just like a soul suck of logic, if you know what I mean. What's up, 1610 man? SJW fanboys versus anti-SJW fanboys versus normal people. That's literally what it is. You have like the psycho comics people over here, and you have the psycho comics people over here, and then there's just what I would assume is just 90% of comics readers is just somewhere in the middle right here. Like, I don't know. But the crazy people are they just have the loudest voices. Like I'm kind of getting into it with some dude on Twitter. Although I might just like delete some of these tweets, but people are really going hard on John Byrne's Superman. They're like, John Byrne made Superman a flag waving. He's a tool of the establishment, and he's so boring. And John Byrne made Superman boring, and it's like, boy, boy. You can dislike John Byrne all you want, but like, let's use some facts here. Let's be real here. John Byrne is like X-Men superstar artist working with Chris Claremont throughout the 80s on like Uncanny X-Men. Dude was brought over from Marvel to DC to reinvent Superman to make him appealing to the general public again. Because he became, as far as most people were concerned, a lame flag waving like Boy Scout joke. Like, so I don't know. That's a whole weird thing where people are just attacking the art of people they don't like and saying that the art was never good. Like, what the... That shit is just devoid of, like, logic to me. I'm sorry. That is... Ooh. But then I remember that Twitter is not a real place and that, like... What was that shit that Mark Millar said? Like, only, like, at best 10% of comics readers are on Twitter. That's comforting. That's really comforting. Because holy shit, these Twitter niggas be saying some shit and I'm like, bro, what? Where is your mind? What's up, Supreme? To be fair, there is some legit criticism of John Byrne's Superman. A lot of Legion fans, Legion writers, and Legion editors had a bit of a grudge with him. I feel that from their perspective. I personally don't like the Legion of Superheroes, so I don't mind them being written out of Superman's history. But I mean, I get it. It's just kind of like Superman as a character, he runs into an exaggerated problem that I kind of bitch about with Superman, but when you compare, I mean, not Superman, he has the same problem that Spider-Man has, but like times a million. Spider-Man's kind of stuck in a weird spot where Ditko creates like the first 30 or so issues they have a very particular kind of tone. It's like this unnerving psycho soap opera that's like steeped in horror but is like played through the tropes of like daytime soap operas. That's like the best way I can put it. And then like Ramita comes on board and just turns the book into like a romance comic, and then Spider-Man's just a romance character from then on. So like the character's kind of at war with himself a little bit. But Superman has that like to the nth degree. Like Golden Age Superman starts off as like this champion of the oppressed. He's this symbol of socialist resentment in the midst of the poor getting poorer and the rich getting richer during like pre-World War II America. And post-war Superman is just straight up like, he's your dad. He's a fuddy-duddy. That's, yeah. And he goes on crazy cosmic adventures. But then there's the post-crisis version of Superman, which is just... he's just a different character. So, you have, like, these two camps of people that are like, well, I like Superman when he was the fuddy-duddy, because that's like a 40-year stretch of time for that character. And then you have the people who are like, well, I like John Byrne because that's what Superman the Animated Series was based off of, and I like that take on the character. So, I don't know, it's just a whole thing where like, the character's at war with themselves, so by default, the fan base is going to be at war with themselves. It really does bring to light that don't fuck with Superman fans, because Superman fans don't even like Superman argument. But, I don't know, I've always resisted that take. I don't think it comes from a place of not liking characters. What's up, Tevia? My day's going pretty good. I don't think it comes from a place of not liking characters. I think it comes from a place of liking specific versions of characters and that being your, like, preferred take. That is your truth. That is, like, it is the definitive version in your eyes, and anyone else's is like a bastardization. Like that's really what it comes down to. But I don't know. John Byrne ruined Superman by making him a flag waving tool of the what? Get the get the fuck, bro. Whatever, dog. Tevye says, well, now that Adventures of John Kent is over, do you believe DC is going to abandon John? No. I mean, I would like if DC abandoned John. But I would imagine I'm saying that for a very different reason than you're saying that. I just think I have a whole thing with John Kent. I think John Kent represents an overall problem that I have with, like, DC and DC editorials, like, overreactionary nature. And I'm saying this because I didn't inherently hate New 52 Superman. I just think that outside of Grant Morrison and what little Greg Pak had to work with, overall that character didn't have a lot of great stories. That said, I don't think the solution was to kill him. I think the solution to fixing New 52 Superman would have just let the writers and artists do their thing while editors took a step back. That's all you had to do. You didn't have to, like, kill him and then replace him with pre-New 52 Superman who had, like, a wife and child, and then you fuse them together and say that the history is that, like, New 52 Superman is just classic DC Universe Superman, or I guess post-crisis Superman, and he has a son, so, like, all those stories that happened from, like, 1986 up through the 2000s and the 2010s, well, they still happen, but Superman also just had a kid in that time period. Oh, oh God! Superman Rebirth had a lot of really fun stories, and if you just kind of read them without any of the continuity minutia in the forefront of your mind, they're really enjoyable. But oh my God, it is a nightmare, and John Kent represents everything I don't like about modern Superman. Just like, oh my, no. I would like if he just got written out of continuity. Just kill him off and just boom. What are you talking about? There was no John Kent. Anyways, Christopher Kent, get over here. You get to be Nightwing again. I would like that. That would make more sense in my brain. But I don't know. To your point, I don't think DC's going to get rid of John Kent. That's just not going to happen. Except nobody could have saved New 52 Superman. Anyone can save anything. That I disagree with you on that. I think if Nick Spencer coming on board and writing Back to Basics, and the first, like, 40 issues of his run in, like, a post Dan Slott era Spider-Man world, post One More Day Spider-Man world, is, like, a genuine sign of the ship turning around and unsinking itself, then, I think you could have done something really cool with New 52 Superman. It literally just takes a good creative team and a good creative eye. That's all it is. And I think that's the case with anybody. Like you're seeing this right now with, I just reorganized my books. Do I have Shazam in here by Mark Waid? I don't think I have Shazam in here by Mark Waid. But, yeah, Mark Waid's Shazam currently. That's a clear case of this character has been in just like a weird space, continuity-wise and character-wise since the New 52, even honestly before the New 52. And you just get Mark Waid coming on board going like, well, you know, some of that stuff happened, but also here's some of the older stuff you liked. And it works. It just works. all these characters really need is like, you don't need to do a bunch of, quite frankly, you don't need to do a bunch of bullshit to fix the characters. Just establish a take, make sure it's sound, make sure it works, make sure you got a good story that go along with it, and then just tell good stories with these characters, and then all the other bullshit will just kind of... Comic book fans are very forgiving of a lot of stuff. So I don't know. I don't think New 52 Superman was beyond saving. I mean, he also had like a really good foundation, I think. I think Grant Morrison and Rags Morales' run on Action Comics was really solid. Very confusing if you didn't read it in trade. Like, if you read the single issues, that shit makes no sense. You have to have, like, your brain attached to a four-dimensional prism, channel focus tuned into, like, five-dimensional wavelengths. Post-gravity wavelengths to understand what Grant Morrison's, like, acid-tripped brain was thinking. But I think it was really good. And then I also think that Scott Snyder and Jim Lee told a really cool story with Superman Unchained. I also like the bulk of the Tony Daniels and was it Peter Tomasi? The Superman Wonder Woman book. That was legitimately really cool. Then Greg Pak and Aaron Kuder took over for Action Comics during the New 52 when you had Toyman become like the new Jimmy Olsen type character for that run. Also, Superman had a beard. That was awesome. Superman with a beard just looks cool. Look, I don't... Hashtag James Gunn gives Superman a beard. Just make that the whole hashtag. Superman looks good with a beard. But yeah, no, man, I think New 52 Superman had legs. It's just no one really... Everyone was kind of like stuck in some weird editorial bullshit because the New 52 was... It was a weird time for DC. Very weird time. But I don't know. Christopher Nolan's New 52 Superman. Man of Steel. You mean? Tin Man says, superhero fans, we want superhero genre to be superhero genre. Meanwhile, movie fans, we want superheroes to be different genres. Be ashamed of these superhero roots, bruh. I see where you're coming from, but I don't quite agree. I think superheroes just by default lend themselves to different genres. Like particularly Marvel characters. There's a really cool podcast called Geeky Gentlemen that I've been listening to lately, and they talked about this is like one of the recent topics. They talked about how Spider-Man starts off as a horror character. I mean, like in Amazing Fantasy 15, Amazing Adult Fantasy is, or I guess was, a horror anthology. And that's where Spider-Man makes his debut. So, Spider-Man is, like, by definition, a horror character. But a lot of those early Spider-Man books, as I was talking about earlier, do have a horror tinge to them. As do a lot of Marvel characters. Like, the Fantastic Four is cosmic sci-fi horror. Um, a lot of the early Avengers comics are tinged in horror, especially the stuff with like Ant-Man and Ultron. Um, the Hulk, it's like literally the Fly, like straight up the Fly. Um, Same with Dr. Curtis Connors, like the Lizard. He's another take on the Fly archetype. So a lot of Marvel characters are just straight up horror characters, and sci-fi characters. But like Marvel's always kind of like been like tinged on this like sci-fi horror kind of edge, with the exception of Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is more like an esoteric kind of horror character, but still that's horror. So I think if you made, or I guess if Marvel made more movies that leaned into those genres, they'd be less boring. Like, like I just finished Secret Invasion. Like I watched the whole thing all the way through. Not terrible. Like I think the internet's just kind of being hyperbolic. I think Secret Invasion, much like all the other Marvel Universe content. Okay, here's the real shit, dog. I don't think there's been a quality dip in the MCU. I think the MCU has maintained the same level of quality since 2012. It's just that more and more people are realizing that these movies and shows are like... That was a weird break, but thank you. But I think more and more people are realizing that these movies and shows aren't like all that great. Like they're fun, but outside of fun, most of them are kind of just empty. Just, like they are just straight up like superhero movies. Fun time. That's about it. I think these characters can be more. I think these stories can be more, by evidence of the comics being more a lot of the times. But Marvel's kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place, where I think, like, I genuinely think there were a lot of creators at Marvel Studios who would like to do some more groundbreaking stuff and more edgy kind of stuff. Like Secret Invasion like broaches a lot of really interesting topics that I think just aren't allowed to go far enough, because you still... Why do you do that? Why? But like I think a lot of these Marvel projects can't go... They can't go for it really, because you at the end of the day have to sell backpacks to 5-year-olds. So you're not really gonna get like a Marvel movie in the same vein as like Garth Ennis and Goran Parlov's Nick Fury, Fury's Private War. You're not gonna get a Marvel Studios project in the vein of the Ultimates. Even though Secret Invasion kind of like tries to go to those places, it still feels reserved. Just because it's a big corporate thing that you have to put on Disney Plus. That's like kind of one of the weird advantages that Marvel had when they weren't like a major household name. You could have those characters and those stories just do more and be more experimental. Ironically, that's at least creatively why I think DC's in a better place than Marvel. Wow, words. But I think that's why creatively DC is in a better place than Marvel is right now. Because DC is just kind of there's Marvel and then there's DC, which is like the bargain brand superheroes that no one's really paying attention to. But I think that works in DC's favor because they're allowed to stretch their feet. They're allowed to, let those creative juices be more explosive. They're allowed to be more daring. You will never see Marvel put out a movie like Joker. Whether you like Joker or not, it's up to you. But like, Marvel ain't gonna do something like that. You'll never see Marvel put out a movie or a TV show like what Zack Snyder was going for with the DCEU. You're never gonna see like Marvel really kind of go for it because they got too much riding on the line, whereas DC is just like, fuck it. I I got my balls in one hand and a pile of my own feces in the other. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do everything. Let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. So it's kind of weird how like dynamic is flipped because that was Marvel for a long time. But I don't know. I do think after Blue Beetle inevitably fails, I don't want it to. I really hope that movie does really well, but I don't see it happening. But I really do hope that after that endeavor does what it does, Marvel and DC both take a back step and they just change their approach to making superhero projects. Like I hope we get more crazy out there superhero movies in the same way that a lot of superhero comics are crazy and out there. But I don't know. We will see. We will definitely see. Comic books, anything can be fixed as comics. Yeah, exactly. Supreme Omega says, on the John Kent problem, I'm surprised you didn't have the same problem with Damian. Let's be honest, he's the reason why both Tim and Cass got sidelined, especially Cass. So I don't have the same problem with Damian, only because I have this like firm belief that Tim should not be Robin forever. In fact, I don't think Tim should really be a superhero forever. There's a really interesting interview that Chuck Dixon gave a couple of years ago where he described Tim as being different from the other Robins in that he's not a lifer. He's not in the superhero game forever in the same way that like Bruce is in it forever, or Dick is in it forever, or Cass is gonna be in it forever, or Barbara is gonna be in it forever. Tim is like, as far as Dixon was concerned, Tim is gonna outgrow it and then like do something else with his life. I feel like bringing Damian in retroactively, that is, because I didn't feel this at the time, but after now having read all of Grant Morrison's run, I definitely do feel this way. I feel like Damian gave Tim a way out, which DC never took. But I don't know. I really do feel like Damian is also in a weird space because he shouldn't be alive. Like Damian's character arc ended. Like the whole point of this character is that he's supposed to die. Like the Batman 666. Not 6. That's Clan of Midnight. The 665 or 664. It's like the future Batman story arc where you see like far in the future where like Barbara Gordon is the commissioner and Damian is the new Batman and he has like a robot Alfred. Like that is a dark future that is not supposed to happen, because Damien learns his lesson in not being an island and not becoming what his father ultimately became after that like long stretch of tragedy from the not mid 70s, mid 80s onward. So like Damien's character arc is effectively over, so that character he shouldn't be alive. He just shouldn't be alive. You know who should be like the main it character, new voice of a generation sidekick? It should be Duke Thomas. It should be Duke Thomas, but I guess he's just treated like the token black of the Bat family now. It just kind of sucks. He is really fun in Wayne Family Adventures though, and I like that he's the POV character of that book. And that is the most action that character has gotten. Yeah. It is. But I don't know, there's just a whole thing of like character progression that I think needs to happen for this is a whole video topic. I could make this video topic at some point in time, but like yeah, DC has too many redundant characters that just need to be culled or reinvented or just done away with gracefully. Still gracefully. I think if you're gonna like have characters leave books or just be ushered away from continuity, you should do it gracefully, but like still needs to happen. You still gotta make room for some of these new characters to actually grow. Tevye says, personally for me, I thought Superman Rebirth was a success. Plus it proves Marvel failed badly with Spider-Man. Well, I think I was having this discussion with a buddy of mine earlier, Troy from Previous World, actually. We were talking about how Spider-Man, if you're looking for like Peter to be with MJ at this point, that well is just thoroughly poisoned. It's over. It's Jover now. It is so Jover. You just gotta let it go. Yeah. It sucks because like a whole generation that just grew up with like Peter and MJ as being like the thing. They are the couple, but like it's over. You gotta get over it, man. I'm sorry. It sucks to say it like that, but like you gotta move on. DC Rebirth, false promises, character assassination, nostalgia bait. I wouldn't say character assassination. I mean, like, false promises that's subjective. I think a lot of characters had really good turnouts with DC Rebirth, particularly Green Arrow. The Ben Percy and Otto Schmidt run was amazing. I also love the Deathstroke run by Christopher Priest and Palagway. Christopher Priest and Palagway. I thought that was a really solid run. I also really thought the Titans run by Dan Abnett was really good. I think the Flash started like finding his footing again during Rebirth. Well, once they brought Wally in. I mean, I have a whole thing with like Barry Allen, just that whole legacy from the original like Flash Rebirth in like 2009 onward. Just what was the point when you look back at the whole thing? Like it's, but I bringing Wally back was pretty cool. Nightwing Rebirth was really good too. So there was a lot of good stuff during DC Rebirth. I felt. The Terrifics was great. Is that a DC Rebirth book? I don't remember. I thought it was a Rebirth book. It might be like one of those New Age of Heroes books, which is still kind of like in that post-Rebirth kind of time frame. Post-Rebirth, pre-Doomsday Clock. Um, I think the big thing that sours Rebirth for me is Doomsday Clock. I just I don't like Doomsday Clock. um, but I don't know. I wouldn't say that Rebirth was a false promise. Um, but it was very nostalgia baity. I do think some characters suffered because of it, but I don't think most of them did. How do we feel about the Super Twins? From the current run on Action Comics by PKJ, it's great. I love them. I don't remember where I heard this, but I let me look this up actually before I shoot my fucking mouth off. Okay, that's not what I wanted to. Action Comics. Okay, so I just googled Action Comics trafficking. Okay, here we go. Okay, fine. Accept the cookies. I don't care. Okay, so Philip Kennedy Johnson said that the Super Twins are supposed to be they represent human trafficking victims, and I think that is such a very fascinating. I think that's just something very fascinating to do with this like post War World saga, like big like event storyline, whatever you want to call it. So I think the twins are like, they're really cool additions to the Super Family. Despite my feeling that the Super Family is just getting too big, but I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff being done with them. And I don't quite have the whole thing where people are just kind of saying that they're stand-ins for John, because DC got rid of like 10-year-old John too fast. I don't feel that with them, because I feel like DC just, I don't know, they're doing different stuff with them. Like the way Johnson is approaching the twins feels unique compared to what Peter Tomasi was doing with John during the DC Rebirth. So I like the twins. I think they're interesting. Toby says, fair enough. I will admit that I could be wrong with the. I mean, you know, it just kind of is what it is. Like, if you thought New 52 Superman was irredeemable, that's fine. I just personally think that you can make anything work. By virtue of the fact that, like I always go back to this, but, like, Eastman and Laird in, like, 1980, they got their tax return, and they were like, dude, let's make a comic about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it worked. So I think you can make anything work in comics. Speaking of which, I'm not going to do a whole video on this, so I might as well just talk about it here. I really liked the TMNT Mutant Mayhem movie. Did you guys watch that? Apparently it's like not doing super great at the box office, but it made like $1 billion in toy sales, so I think the studio's gonna take that as a W. But yeah, man, I really liked the movie itself. It's kind of funny because like my girlfriend and I, we kind of just wanted to like get out of the house and just do something. So we went to the movie theater off a whim, and we were like, oh, what's playing? Let's go watch Ninja Turtles. Despite the theater experience, because we were in a theater with a lot of kids, like I don't have I don't have a thing where I hate kids. Like I get why some people do, but I don't have that. Like I guess my mom's a teacher, so I just helping her out in her classrooms. Like growing up, I don't have the whole like hating children thing. So I don't know. But that said, children can sometimes just be really disruptive during like movie theater activities and stuff like that. But be that as it may, our theater experience wasn't too chaotic with all the kids and families in there, and the movie was fun. It was very much a riff on the 1980s TV show, which I haven't seen a lot of, but I've seen enough of it to kind of have like a general vibe of what that show is like. It's very much blending that with the original Eastman and Laird Ninja Turtles comic, which is a weird sort of like peanut butter and like I don't know, like mustard combination, but it kind of works. It's taking the best of like the aesthetic, really, of the Eastman and Laird Ninja Turtles run, and like the over the top like vibrant cartoony nature of the 1980s TV show, and I think it just kind of works. It's a really fun movie. There's a weird thing where the movie ends with the turtles being accepted by everyone in the city. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about like the Ninja Turtles going to like a regular high school with like regular kids. That feels weird to me. It's like bordering sacrilege. But I think it works within the context of the story being told. Because at the end of the day, this movie is leaning really hard on the fact that these are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like they hammer home the teenage part of TMNT. And I think it works. I think it's really good. I think the action is amazing. I thought all the stuff with the mutants was really fun and really cool. Personally, I would have preferred something more in line with the IDW Ninja Turtles comics. I think those are really good right now. Or at the very least, I think the first like 5 or 6 volumes that I've read are really good. But then again, I mean, you also run into a whole thing with Ninja Turtles just as a IP where most Ninja Turtles material is just kind of retreading the same beat for beat, arc for arc. Like they're doing the same exact story that the original Mirage run did, like verbatim. Even when you change up some things here and there, like you change up character arcs here or there, you change up like the origin for the Krang, or you change some things with like the dynamic between Orokosaki and Splinter. You change up some things with like Casey Jones and April O'Neil. Generally, they follow the same narrative path. So it was kind of cool to see a Ninja Turtles adaptation that just kind of did its own thing. Like completely did its own thing. They even teased like a version of Shredder that feels more in line with like Deathstroke, which I think could potentially be really fascinating. So I don't know. I really liked the TMNT Mutant Mayhem movie. I just knew I was gonna do a whole long ass review. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie, and go watch it if you like Ninja Turtles. It's really good. Dude, I don't know. I'm also just super excited for that last Ronin game. Like I'm so excited. Uh, God, dude, it's yeah. Ninja Turtles is great. That's like something I feel like I should talk about on the channel more often. I've never really felt the need to though, but I might actually talk about the. I mean, everyone and their moms talk about the Last Ronin comic, but I don't know. I don't think anyone's really talked about the IDW run, so I'll probably talk about the IDW run at some point. But yeah, New Turtles movie was pretty good. Toby says my only criticism with Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem was having Splinter just be a rat who learned ninja training thanks to kung fu movies. I feel that. I personally didn't mind it because they were going with like the interpretation where he was always a rat, and then he just got mutated by the mutagen, which is sort of what the 2003 show did. I mean, the 2003 show had the whole thing where like Orokusaki is like Splinter's owner, like Splinter is like Orokusaki's pet, and he learned martial arts by watching him. This is just kind of like taking that to like its next logical like comedic step. I don't know. I didn't mind it. I thought it worked. 1610 Man says, creators, we're gonna do our own thing while the fans scream at us. I mean, that's a lot of things. I mean, we were just having that whole discussion about like John Byrne at the top of the video, so you know, it'd be like that. Supreme says on TMNT, remember the 2003 cartoon? That is the only show that was actually really faithful to the Mirage comics. Yeah, no, it really was. And I haven't read the entirety of the Mirage comics. I really want to. It's just a lot of those collections are like super expensive, and I know they released an omnibus for I think the first 50 or so issues of the OG TMNT run, but I don't have a $1.25 to drop at any time. I can't just drop $125 on a big ass omnibus. I was really pushing it with that Miracle Man omnibus that I bought that was $100. So like but yeah, I don't know. From what I've read of the original Mirage comics, the 2003 show I think is the closest to what Eastman and Laird were going for. Does the IDW Ninja Turtles need a reboot? I've been told that it gets clusterfucky once you get past like 100, but I haven't got that far yet. I've just read like the first like 4 or 5 trades, and I think it's pretty straightforward so far. The 1990 is really fun with practical effects. Yeah, it still looks really good too. I also love their take on the Shredder. Like the whole thing where the Shredder is like the anti-Master Splinter is really cool. Like he's trying to corrupt the youth. Ironically, I think so far, the Shredder from the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie is the best version of Deathstroke we've seen on screen. He just is. He's the best adaptation of Deathstroke we're ever gonna get in live action. I also like his costume. His costume looks really cool. That movie's like a ringing endorsement for just translate the material from the page onto the screen and it will look good. Supreme Omega says, also on the Snyder and Tynion OCs, my problem with Harper Row is that she's this weird hodgepodge of Tim, Steph, and Cass. Harper is the Mary Sue who can accuse Tim of being... Oh yeah, Harper is the Mary Sue people accuse Tim of being. It's been so long since I read Scott Snyder's run. I'm trying to remember anything about Harper Row. I know she shows up in that like .1 Batman issue comic. Like she gets invited to like one of those galas that Bruce Wayne throws. And and it like sort of ties into the whole like first issue of the Court of Owls thing that Snyder did, um, where he's pitching his whole like redevelopment of the Narrows type thing, um, which I thought was like a really cool idea. But I don't know. Harper Row is another one of those characters who I think, a lot like Tim, ironically, she's not a lifer. I think she is one of those characters who starts off doing the vigilante thing and then just kind of goes like, oh no, oh baby, no, I am not built for this, and then just kind of goes on with their life. I think that's a really good direction for Harper Row. But I don't know. Toby says, I thought that the movie was fine, not the best TMNT movie, but okay at best. That's fair. I still think the 2007 animated Ninja Turtle movie is like the best. That is like the best Turtles movie, in my opinion. It's a really solid sequel to the 1990 movie. In fact, I would go as far to say that I think the 2007 animated Ninja Turtles film is the sequel that the 1990 movie deserved, but never got. Like as far as I'm concerned, it goes 1990 Ninja Turtles, and then you just skip to the 2007 animated movie. There's nothing in between. There's no weird thing where like the secret of the ooze is like nicotine or some shit, or whatever it was. It was something stupid, or like the weird one where they time travel to ancient Japan. Does anybody else remember that movie? It's the one just before they introduced the sister turtle that they have. Whew. What a time. What a time the Ninja Turtles had. 1610 says New 52 is better than DCU. Yeah. I think that's a cold take, bruh. That's a cold take. Supreme says among all of Snyder and Tynion's OCs, Duke had the potential until they gave him powers and turned him into the Signal. Then he just became Diet Static, which is funny because then DC they got the rights to the Milestone characters back, and now they just publish Static comics again. They're not good, but there's something. DCU was a massive failure. Okay, the Terrifics was New Age of Heroes. Okay, that makes sense. Blue Beetle, the PG-13 American Guyver. Yeah, but that's like what he always was. Like, I don't know. I'm doing a video on Blue Beetle right now. I honestly think that Jaime is like, he's the last good legacy hero. Like I stand by that wholeheartedly. I think compared to everyone else that has come after him, compared to Miles, compared to John Kent, compared to Miss Marvel, compared to Amadeus Cho, compared to just everybody, like Jace Fox, even like Yara Flor, like Wonder Girl, who I like, but just like compared to Yara Flor. Jaime wipes the floor with all of them. Jaime is it's weird. He starts this trend of the young hip POC legacy hero who's taken over for the crusty old white hero, but it works. And everyone else, they just fall dramatically short by comparison. It's insane. It's really insane. I got a whole video coming out about that soon. So I don't know. It's just crazy to me. Like, Jaime shouldn't work as well as he does, but he's just great. Um, Blue Beetle, Spider-Man, Homecoming 2.0 with the Hispanic community. Yeah, but that's what I like about it. If anything, I think Spider-Man Homecoming cribbed a lot from Blue Beetle. I mean, like, he cribbed a lot from Miles, but, like, okay, after reading... Okay, well, not this. This is King Dynasty. But after reading... Okay, well, this is Graduation Day. This is also really good, by the way. But after reading the original, like, Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle run, there is so much Spider-Man Homecoming in this. It is kind of insane. Like, I totally understand why there are so many changes being made to Blue Beetle's lore for the movie. It's because Spider-Man Homecoming exists and just kind of ripped off Blue Beetle really hard. Like the whole thing where the young teen hero is wearing a high-tech costume that he doesn't quite understand, and it like has a voice of its own that talks to him and guides him through different missions. It has like a crazy insta-kill function. All the while, like, he's trying to live up to this other superhero legacy. All the stuff where he has like a skinny weird girl female best friend and a fat like comedy relief best friend. Like all the stuff where like he's trying to take on criminal factions in his own like backyard, and they're like intrinsically tied to the potential love interest at the time. Spider-Man Homecoming just ripped off Blue Beetle, dog. Like, oh my god. MCU Spider-Man it's a great adaptation of The Flash. It's a great adaptation of Blue Beetle, apparently. It's a great adaptation of Miss Marvel. It's kind of like a great adaptation of every teen superhero that isn't Spider-Man. It's so weird. But I don't want to go on an MCU Spider-Man tangent. I just thought that was really funny. But also just kind of annoying because it really put into perspective, we're just not gonna get Miss Marvel the way I think Miss Marvel should be handled because Spider-Man Homecoming already did that. We're starting with like a Blue Beetle movie where Jaime is like a college graduate because Spider-Man Homecoming is like a Blue Beetle movie. I don't know. It's just funny to me. But yeah, guys, go read that original Blue Beetle run. It's really good. Like, I'm not kidding. It is fantastic. Tevi says, so kill off redundant characters? Yes. It's always the answer. Purge. Murder. It's legal because they're paper people. They're not real people. They don't have rights. No. Why? There we go. Uh, 1610 Man says, what the fuck happened to Bluebird? That's a good question. Ask DC. In fact, I don't think they have an answer because I don't think they know. I don't think anyone at DC knows what happened to Bluebird. The Dark Future, Batman 666 is depressing. I think it's 664 because 666 is the that's the Clown at Midnight issue, which I've never read. Well, I've like skimmed it, but like I've never like. I feel bad. because everyone says it's like a brilliant Batman comic issue, and it's like one of the best comics ever written. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, but I would have liked the comic to be a comic book. Like I don't know, like the weird art style and like the whole thing where like it's told like a storybook. I'm sure it's brilliant and I'm just being stupid, but like I just wasn't with it. I always skip it when I go back and reread Grant Morrison's Batman. Um 1610 says trilogy character arc for Tim Drake should be teenage Robin becomes adult Batman and retires as a freelance detective. Yeah, I mean that's well, I disagree with the adult Batman take. I don't think Tim becomes Batman. I think Dick Grayson becomes Batman. And Dick becomes the Batman that Bruce wishes he could be. I don't see Tim ever being Batman. I think Tim grows up and realizes that he doesn't want to be Batman. And then he retires and just is like a police investigator. Or not even that. I think Tim would just like retire and like use his family's wealth to like build affordable housing for people or like I don't know, like be like a lawyer for people. I don't know. I feel like Tim would have like a very mundane civilian job. That's what I think Tim grows up and does. In my ideal world, we're never actually gonna see Tim Drake grow up and progress his character. He's gonna be stuck as like Robin for a long time. I feel. Have you read Top 10? Thoughts on Alan Moore? Yes, I have read Top 10. I like it so far. I just finished the first arc with the prostitute killer. I just got to the issue where the cops are arresting Santa Claus in like the middle of October. So that's been really fun lately. It really makes me want to read Alan Moore's not Terra Obscura because I've already read that. It really makes me want to read Tom Strong by Alan Moore, which I think ties into Terra Obscura because it's referenced in Terra Obscura. So yeah, no, I'm really into it. I really like a lot of this stuff. I like that it's being reprinted. It's weird that it's being reprinted under DC Comics. I feel like that's just kind of like fanning more flames of like corporate dickery, but at a certain point, I'm kind of just glad that like the stories are out there. Ow. You ever hiccup and just like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm really liking Top 10 so far. And, I haven't checked out Promethea, but let me see. Yeah, I haven't checked out Promethea, but if you say it's good, I'll check it out. Looks kind of like Wonder Woman-y. In the same way that like Tom Strong is like very Doc Savage-y. That's interesting. I'll check that out. Blue Beetle comes out on your birthday. Oh, well, happy birthday. I hope you enjoy the movie on your birthday. 1610 Man says, I like edgy, dark, and gritty realism, superhero genre stories. I hate campy, light, witty, escapism, superhero genre stories, and not really interested in multi-genre stories just featuring other superheroes. I don't know what you mean by that last one, but I wouldn't say that I want just dark and gritty stories or just light and happy stories. I would want stories that are complementary to the story you're trying to tell with characters. Like I always say, like I think Man of Steel works because it is a science fiction movie, and I think it works because Superman is a science fiction character. They didn't trap Superman's narrative in like traditional superhero tropes, as defined by like pop culture cinema. It is just a science fiction movie featuring Superman, and I think that works really well. I mean, it didn't work for the general audience, but like I thought it worked really well. Kind of in the same way that like the Dark Knight is like a James Bond style Batman movie. It's a very, the best way that I can describe it, the best way that I can describe it is that using like a comic book anchor, it's Batman by way of Warren Ellis and John Cassaday. That's very much the vibe I get from The Dark Knight. So like yeah, no, I really dug it. I really like when superhero films are like kind of approached in that manner. Like Logan. Logan is another example. Like it doesn't work because it's dark. It works because it is a sober, or I guess a sobering, melancholy, like almost like spaghetti western. And I think that works for that character. Just like I think the first Ant-Man movie, because I just watched that, not for the first time, but like I watched it like for the first time with like friends and family in like a social setting. It's a very fun, like small scale kind of like heist movie, and I think that works for Ant-Man. Like I really think we should lean into like other genres with other characters. Like I just picked this up today, Spider-Man Fever. This book is really good because we were talking about like earlier in the show, like how Spider-Man is at the end of the day a horror character. I would really like to see a Spider-Man movie that leans more into horror. I think the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films have a horror aesthetic, but they, at the end of the day, they're not really horror movies. They are Richard Donner's Superman, like, love letters with like a horror tinge to them. I think the first Amazing Spider-Man film with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, that leans heavily, or I guess more so heavily into like horror themes that I think are just kind of inherent to the character of Spider-Man. And that's what I think works about that movie. My only problem is that I don't think it goes far enough with that. I really think if you like change the last like 35-40 minutes of that film and you have it more centered around Dr. Connors really being like a mad scientist, like have him like abducting and experimenting on people, like in like you swap out the final act of that movie where you know it's on the top of Oscorp Tower and you got the Ganali device and you know Spider-Man he's swinging on cranes to get to Oscorp Tower and it's big and bombastic and James Horner's search for Spock score is just going balls deep into the like instead of doing all that, I think that movie should have been like really low key. It should have ended in the sewers. Like you should have had like Spider-Man like really getting to know and getting a feel for his spider sense, which is new to him, and he's like relying on it because like Dr. Kurt Connors is like he's gone full lizard brain. He's like super mad scientist, and Peter's like in the sewers. He's vulnerable. He can't swing around. He's just crawling, trying to like escape this reptilian beast that is trying to like murder him. As like Peter's trying to rescue like civilians that Kurt is like experimenting on, like lean more into like the body horror, lean more into like the fever dream of Spider-Man. I don't know. Like I think that movie starts off really good and then it just kind of turns into another Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, but the third act. A really good Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. I think it's like up to that point, it is the best Spider-Man film we'd gotten. But I think it really should have gone a little further with the horror themes. Secret Invasion comic is a train wreck. I don't think it's a train wreck. I just think it's not great. I still think the best version of Secret Invasion ever, be it film, video games, TV shows, comics, what have you, I think the best version of Secret Wars is Mark Miller and Brian Hitch's The Ultimates. Which is funny because it came out like, I think 3 or 4 years before Secret Invasion came out, I think. Wait, when is Secret Invasion? Um, 2007. Okay, so the first Ultimates is 2002, so that's like 5 years. Yeah, no, I think the first Ultimates is that it is the best version of Secret Invasion. Like the whole thing where like the Chitauri are these ancient reptilian aliens that made a deal with the Nazis, and then the Allies ended up winning World War II. So then the Chitauri had to like rethink their game plan, and they're like, okay, instead of just taking over the planet, what if we like, what if we got involved in like the humans' local politics on like a global scale, and we ran this like Illuminati shadow government, and then it gets to a point where everything culminates with them trying to bridge humanity culturally into their, well, not bridge, but like fold humanity culturally into their intergalactic empire. And they do that just like over years of technological development, political movements and counter movements, like putting like random chemicals in the food, chemtrails, just like all the weird schizo like 4chan style theories, like QAnon type theories that everyone's been spouting off. Like all that just kind of goes into Mark Miller's Ultimates, and I think it's great. I think it's the best version of Secret Invasion you're ever gonna get. Also check out my videos detailing all of not Secret Invasion, the Ultimates, because I'm proud of them. I haven't done Volume 3 yet. That's a lot of video to edit. But I will get to it. I will do it at some point in time in the future. But yeah, check out my videos on Volumes 1 and or just Volume 1 and 2 of the first Ultimates. I'm really proud of those, and I like those books a lot. 1610 Man, why not have both Chris Kent and John Kent as brothers? That's too much. That's the super family's already pretty crowded. Let's not overcrowd things more. Um, I am definitely not in the uh more is better and bigger is better category. I think less is more a lot of the times. Um, uh, uh, Pikachu, Pikachu. Where was I? There we go. Um, Jason Tim says legacy characters post 2016 suck. That's true. I think they sucked for a long time though. I think going back to like the again, I think Blue Beetle's the last like legitimately good one in comics. Um, Timmy says, question: how do you feel about the Crisis on Infinite Earths animated movie? Why? Why are they doing that? That seems dumb to me, but you know, it could be all right, or it could just be another one of these Tomorrowverse movies that aren't great. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. The Tomorrowverse started off really good, and then just it was kind of weird. It started off good, and then it maintained the level of quality, and then it just kind of dipped. Like I think Man of Tomorrow is all right. Like I don't love it. I think a lot of the love that Man of Tomorrow got when it originally came out was just simply due to the fact that it wasn't Zack Snyder, and a lot of people just wanted something that was like the anti-Zack Snyder. And because Man of Tomorrow was reacting to a lot of what Superman was in pop culture through Injustice and Zack Snyder and a lot of the comics over the past like decade, it was making a conscious effort to go against the grain on that. So a lot of people just kind of said best Superman ever. I don't think it's the best. I think it's fine. It's a fine Superman movie. It's a fine story. The animation's really pretty. But I think it's all right. I think Matt Bomer is a great Superman, though. Matt Bomer is an amazing Superman. And I think I can't think of her name, but she's the chick from the first season of True Detective, Daddario. I think she's an amazing Lois Lane, but that movie's just kind of a nothing burger to me. That's harsh. It's not a nothing burger. It's just fine. And then you get the Batman Long Halloween animated movies. I think those are legitimately great. Then again, I think Long Halloween, the comic, is not that great. So anything that is not the comic is like, well, everything's up from here. I legitimately really like the Long Halloween animated movies. It's like a cool two-parter. So that's really good. I really like the Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes movie. That's really good. It would have been nice to see a movie where Superman met Supergirl, but I guess DC didn't want to waste time covering that ground. Just like they didn't want to waste time establishing that the Justice League met each other and like formed. So they just kind of form off screen. That's the big problem with the Tomorrowverse. These movies are so obsessed with like trying to build a cinematic universe that they skip over key moments that I think are fairly important, like the first time Superman met Batman, or the first time that the Justice League formed, and you get like the Justice League headquarters. I think that's pretty important to that's something you should see. Um, I also think it's important to establish the first time that Superman meets another Kryptonian. I think that is a story in and of itself. Um, so just like skipping over all these major events just to rush to Crisis on Infinite Earths, it just kind of feels weird. They also did a whole thing where like our introduction to the Green Lantern Corps is when the Green Lantern Corps has already died, and Hal Jordan already became Parallax, and then the movie ends with like uh, a 0 hour callback where Green Arrow has to kill Hal Jordan, and I'm supposed to care, even though this is like my first time seeing this version of Green Arrow in a movie, and this is my first time seeing like Hal Jordan in this universe, and I'm supposed to care when like he shoots him in the chest, and like it's not the same, man. It's just not. I don't know, dog. The Tomorrowverse is just a very haphazard universe. I don't know what their whole. I don't know what the game plan was with this, but I really hope after Crisis they just stop. Just stop making interconnected movies. Stop trying to build a universe. Just tell cool stories. That's all I want. Like I don't need you to like do the Tomorrowverse version of Long Halloween. I like the Tomorrowverse version of Long Halloween, but I don't need that. I would have rather you just made a version of Long Halloween that had an animation style that aped the amazing Tim Sale artwork. In like kind of the same way that like Superman Batman Public Enemies is mimicking Ed McGuinness's art, or in the same way that the TMNT Mutant Mayhem movie found a way to mimic Kevin Eastman's art style, which I did not think was possible, but they found a way. But that's what I really want out of DC animation. Like I don't want a connected universe with like all these pieces that move together and do the thing, and I don't need that. Just Judas Contract is a cool story. Let's just adapt that. Let's get some animators that can animate George Perez's art style and character designs and do the Judas Contract. You know, or adapt like the Human Race from Grant Morrison and Mark Miller. Just find someone who can mimic that art style. Make it work. just go. Like I don't need the whole interconnected movie universe thing. I don't even need that in live action, let alone animation. Like I don't know. The Tomorrowverse is it's a good attempt. Comes from a good place. But please, for the love of God, fucking stop. That's just it. Stop with the interconnected bullshit. Just tell cool stories. Toby says, question, what about Miles Morales Spider-Man versus Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle? I think Jaime is a better character by default of not being trapped in a cycle of telling the same story. That story being, guys, I have to justify my existence as being Spider-Man. That is every Miles Morales story. That is what it is in the Spider-Verse movies. That's what it is in that Spider-Man Miles Morales video game. That's what the first, 40 issues of Miles Morales' Ultimate Spider-Man comics run is. Guys, okay, he's Spider-Man. Move on. You don't have to keep telling me he's Spider-Man. Just tell Spider-Man stories with this fucking kid already. I don't know. 1610 Man says, Fans want random stories without continuity, but they also want shared universe with continuity. LOL. But I don't know. Do people really want shared universe stuff anymore? Like, it was a novel concept with the MCU, but like, I don't know. Like, you don't need it anymore. Like, it's especially for like animated movies and stuff. Like, I'm kind of enjoying, like, for example, like My Adventures with Superman. I really enjoy the show. I don't think it's like brilliant by any stretch of the imagination. It's one of those things where like I like it better than Superman the animated series in some respects, and in other respects I think it is a massive step down in quality. But one of the big things that I really like about the show is that it's not bending over backwards to be a shared universe. Like, there's greater DC universe stuff in it, but it doesn't feel like when Monsieur Mala and the Brain are in like episode 6, it doesn't feel like, okay, well, they're gonna start seeding the Doom Patrol here. Or when Heatwave is in like one of the episodes, it's not like, okay, well, now we're gonna like, we're seeding the Flash. No, it just feels like, well, these are criminals. These criminals exist in the DC universe. We're just gonna throw these criminals in this Superman show, and there you go. Again, I would prefer if there were more Superman characters in this Superman show. But I don't know. I think it's pretty good so far. And I like that it's not. I like that it doesn't feel like it's rushing to build a DC universe. I really like that it's just living with Superman and the Superman lore and these Superman characters. I really appreciate that. Since there's fans want random stories without continuity, but they also want. I already read that one. Most comics barely have continuity anyways. Continuity, with picking and choosing. Yeah, that's a lot of superhero comics in general. I would really just kind of like. I mean, I made this post on Twitter, but I would really like it if we just kind of stopped doing continuity with these massive like superhero movies, as well as the comics. Maybe not Marvel. Like, Marvel's whole thing is continuity. Like, you can't do a Marvel's like comic story without continuity. Like, Marvel's whole bread and butter is continuity. But like, as far as like DC is concerned, I think DC should just like kick the continuity bucket down the hill off of the ledge and watch it cascade into a active volcano. Like, DC does not really need continuity to function. In fact, I think some of the best DC stories to come out the past like 10-15 years, they're not in continuity. DC New Frontier is in its own cool little universe, just chilling, doing its own thing. I really like Batman Damned and the Joker and Lex Luthor Man of Steel. Like, I mean, that's kind of its own weird continuity that Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo are building. But I really like that, even if they are in like the same universe, it's just, they're just telling stories. They're just telling stories. I really like the DC Earth 1 books. Those don't take place in any real set continuity. They're just kind of, well, here's a Superman story. Here's a Batman story. Even though I don't think the Batman one's all that great. But, like, you know, here's a Superman story, the Batman story, it's a Wonder Woman story. Here's our weird version of, like, the Doom Patrol style Ultimates Teen Titans slash Runaways. Here's, like, a weird Ridley Scott-esque version of Green Lantern. I don't know, these things are all just kind of out of continuity and they're really cool. You know, Batman Universe, for example, that's another one. Out of continuity, really cool. Um, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Like, again, it was retroactively made in continuity, but this is a cool, just standalone Supergirl book. Like, I think DC is in a place where they really can just ditch continuity and just tell stories, like miniseries and original graphic novels. I really think DC can just do that. In fact, I think they should do that. But I don't think they're likely to. But I don't know. I just think personally a lot of DC's heavy hitter stories, like the big ones, like Justice, Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, you know, or like Batman Imposter, you know, Superman American Alien. Like, these are all like out of continuity stories that are like kind of iconic, you know. Kingdom Come. I don't like Kingdom Come, but it's iconic, and it takes place in its own continuity. But yeah, I don't know. I really feel like DC should just get rid of continuity. That's just me though. Oh, good night, Tevya. 67 says fans are just tired of multiverse stories, but really they're just tired of multiverse crossovers. That too. I think the multiverse can work. It's the problem is I don't think the multiverse is used creatively. Like, I had this thought when I was I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once at my local indie theater. Was this a year ago now? No, 'cause this was like after the film had its like real theatrical release. This was like my indie theater just kind of gets cool movies, and I don't know how that shit works, but like, you know, they sometimes show older movies and like snuffy film, like art bro kind of movies. And I got a chance to see it a couple months ago, and it just kind of made me think, or not made me think, it made me realize that a lot of multiverse stories are just unimaginative and just dog shit. For gonna be honest, the multiverse, much like anything, or like any gimmick, like superheroes, or like the sci-fi genre, or fantasy, like a fantasy setting, or anything, they should be used as a narrative tool to tell a story, not a gimmick, or, you know, an engine to just do fan service, which is what I think a lot of these genre stories wind up doing and being. But yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that is an example of using the multiverse in a meaningful way. And I can't really think of anything else that's managed to do that in recent years. So I don't know, man. I think the multiverse can be done right. It's just usually not 90% of the time. Supreme Omega says, "Is it fair to blame Crisis for DC's continuity problems? Isn't Flash of Two Worlds kind of the original sin of the continuity problem?" I think, well, to what I was saying earlier, I think Flash of Two Worlds is using the multiverse in an interesting way, in that, well, actually, Flash of Two Worlds, like, starts the multiverse. Like, I don't think the multiverse is, like, a major concept in science fiction before the Flash, is it? I don't think so, at least. But as for Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think it's more than fair. In fact, I've said that on the channel multiple times. I think Crisis is like the thing that broke DC Comics. Um, but Tevye says, "How do you feel about Teen Titans Earth One?" I liked it. It's very different. It is not your traditional Teen Titans story at all. Jeff Lemire was taking full advantage of the alternate universe framework that Earth One allowed, and basically kind of just making Teen Titans the Runaways. But I think some of the changes were interesting and they really worked. I really liked T-1000 Cyborg. I thought that was a really interesting design choice and character choice. I didn't really mind Star-Lord Deathstroke. I thought he was a pretty interesting design. I liked the whole thing with Niles Coulter basically like experimenting on children to make the ultimate superhero team, and like he has a version of the Teen Titans that are basically just the Doom Patrol, and they're like hunting down the Teen Titans. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, man, I don't know. I like the Teen Titans Earth One book. I don't remember if it has like a definitive ending though. I don't think it does. I think it's a lot like a lot of the other Earth One books, where she's kind of stuck in this weird publishing limbo of, will it get published or won't it get published? I don't know. Is the Earth One line dead? Is it still kind of limping along? I don't know. Like I am 90% convinced that Aquaman Andromeda was supposed to be Aquaman Earth One, and then it just kind of got pushed into a new publishing line. Battle of the Super Sons, the animated movie, was standalone. Yes, you're right. That was really good, and it was really fun. Didn't tie into anything. You don't really need a sequel for it. It's just a fun superhero movie, and it just works. Supreme says, on the 2003 Teen Titans cartoon, has it aged well? Oh, so apparently some people have a issue with the show's take on Starfire and Raven. Well, I mean, I made a video about this when the first trailer for the live action Titans show came out. I like the 2003 TV show, but it is like an alternate take on the Teen Titans. Like, it's not the definitive Teen Titans. It is a take on that mythology and those characters in that universe. Like, I don't know, man. Like the way they depict Robin in that show is not. It's not Dick Grayson from the Marv Wolfman George Perez run. The way Cyborg is treated in that show, he's not Marv Wolfman and George Perez's Cyborg. Beast Boy's basically the same. But like Starfire and Raven aren't really the same either. Also, like, the show's like lacking Wonder Girl. Like, she's not a character in that show at all. I think for legal reasons though. But yeah, the show also like had a completely different takes on Brother Blood and Deathstroke, and their take on the Doom Patrol is like weird and different. So like, yeah, dude, I don't know. Like it was always like a weird alternate take of like the DC Universe Teen Titans, though. It was always like Teen Titans by way of like anime, or like American influenced anime. Sort of in the same way that like My Adventures with Superman is not really a definitive take on Superman. It's just like a weird kind of post anime like take on Superman. So I don't know. I like it. It's a good show. But it's an alternate universe take on that universe and those characters. It's cool. It's fine. If people are just bitching on the internet about like Starfire being like the foreign exchange student archetype ditz, I mean, yeah, that's not really the character in the comics, but I don't know how you translate the character from the comics to a Saturday morning cartoon. I just don't know how you do that. I don't know how you adapt Terra from the original Marv Wolf and George Perez Teen Titans run to fit the restrictions of like a Saturday morning cartoon. I don't know how you do that. It's fine for what it is. I don't know. Don't listen to Twitter people. Twitter people are like they're invalids. Just don't don't let them influence you too hard. Uh, Supreme says, besides the continuity problems it caused, thoughts on Crisis on Infinite Earths, solely as a story. I do not like it. It's not like it's very beautifully drawn, but it just reading it is draining, which is crazy because Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis are like two of my favorite comics, like period, and they are sequels to this dry, just the best way I can describe it is okay, Infinite Crisis is like buffalo chicken wings with like a side of like Cajun seasoned fries. It's real juicy, it's real tangy, it's spicy. It hits hard, it's really good. And then Final Crisis is like butter chicken, you know. It's like some it's like some good ass like Pakistani chicken that you get. It's that good butter chicken, you know. You ever like a Pakistani joint, you know, with like a side of basmati rice, and you know you got like the seasoned salad next to it. Like that's what Final Crisis is. Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's just like biting into like a blanched, bland, boiled chicken. It is cooked. It you know, it is well done, but that shit is tough, and it's just not pleasant. I don't enjoy Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's just bland. It is. It's, if it's food, it's edible, but like I don't enjoy eating it. Yo, shit, what's up, Arcus? How you doing? Early 2000s was a great time for superhero animated shows. They had style, action, music. While now, My Adventures with Superman only has soy Superman and anime faces. What a shame. Yeah, it's. I think in the same way that the Tomorrowverse Superman movie, like Man of Tomorrow, is revered for simply just being not Zack Snyder's Superman. My Adventure with Superman is kind of in that same ballpark. I think a lot of people just like it because it's not what we were getting with Superman for a long time, but I don't think that makes it like great by default. I will say there's a lot of stuff in My Adventures with Superman that concept wise I'm really into. I really like that this is a Superman show that is, I mean, when you boil it down, Superman versus the military industrial complex. I think that's really cool. I think that's a really neat idea. And I like the idea of like an anime-esque Superman show. I just don't think the animation is up to snuff. Especially when it comes to like the action sequences. I don't think it's nearly as good as the original Teen Titans TV show. I don't think it's damn near anywhere as good as the original 2004 The Batman TV show. Um, so I don't know. That said, I'm hoping that the animation budget is like stuffed with an empty needle and just pumped with air. Just inflate the money budget for this show so it can look better. Because right now it looks like a Newgrounds era Flash animation fan thing. Sorry, but it does. But I don't know. I hope it improves with season 2. I'll say that. 80s crisis fanboys on infinite continuity errors. Yeah, that sums it up pretty nicely. Supreme says on Sam Raimi, he probably would have been the right guy for Batman. Yes, he definitely would have been a great Batman director. I heard somewhere that Sam Raimi really wants to make a Batman movie with Ra's al Ghul. Nothing but love for Andy Muschietti, but somebody just give Brave and the Bold to Sam Raimi. Yes, please. I would love that. I would love a high concept Batman with like horror vibes. Absolutely. Oh my god, yes. 1610 Man says Pre-Crisis was better when labeled the alternate realities. Yeah, that's like the big thing with DC Pre-Crisis. I don't think you really needed I don't think you needed like a whole reboot to like fix the DC universe. I think you just needed to have a better way of like tracking your continuity and like what stories take place on Earth 1 or Earth 2 or Earth 5 or New Earth or whatever. I think that would have been like the more sane thing to do, but the boys wanted to reboot, so the boys rebooted. Sam Raimi's Batman equals Batman fans crying that it's too campy. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Dude, I want like a Soul of the Dragon funky style Batman. Give me that. Give me Batman with like the full on like blue and gray outfit, looking like like the Raphael Grandpa Batman. Have you guys seen that? Let me see. Yeah, this one. They have a cool statue of it. That's what it looks like on. Alright, this is the big bad toy store version of it. I want a Batman costume that looks like this in live action. Come on, DC, don't pussy out. Like, make Batman look cool. You can make the gray and blue costume look dope as hell. All you gotta do is try. All you gotta do is just have some sauce, have some cojones. Let it out, baby, let it out. I want Batman sword fighting Ra's al Ghul in the heart of a volcano with like a laser sword. That's what I want to see. Oh man, kind of reminds me of the League of Superheroes arc from, I think this is like the third or fourth arc in Grant Morrison's run on Batman, where Bruce and Tim go investigate like a murder mystery on this private island, and you have Knight and Squire there, and you have like the the Gladiator and a couple of other like Silver Age characters from that World's Finest story, but you have them just investigating like a murder mystery, and it ends with Squire and Robin being held in a death trap by, I can't remember this dude's name, but he's like a throwback to like old like 1950s style like Silver Age supervillainy. He's like, man, nobody appreciates classic death traps anymore. Like, come on, we gotta do better. Like, as supervillains, I really think like it's just lame that we're just being labeled as like serial killers and we're domestic terrorists. Let's go back to the good old days where we had like death traps and you had to solve riddles to get out of them. Let's bring that back, bro. I'm on that aesthetic with superheroes in general, but like specifically Batman. Bring the fun back to Batman. That's what I want. Like, I don't really want to. I mean, I've said this before. I'll say it again. But like, I don't want more Nolan Batman. You know, like, God bless Matt Reeves, but his Batman just kind of feels like Nolan 2.0 to me. Which is really good. It's really well directed. It's really well written. It's really wonderfully acted, but I don't want realistic Batman anymore, dog. I want to see Batman on like Counter Earth Jupiter fighting like zombies with a robotic Sergeant Rock and Bizarro with the brain of Starfire trapped inside of it. Like, that's really what I want to see from Batman moving forward, and that's really what I want like the next big Batman movie to be. You know, if Matt Reeves is gonna have his like, you know, dark and gritty Batman trilogy, that's cool. I'm down with that existing for people who want that. But I want Batman being like a high concept, high flying, blue cape and cowl with the gray bodysuit rocking Cape Crusader. That's what I want from Batman. And I hope we get that with Brave and the Bold. Regardless of whether or not like Andy Muschietti directs it or not. Even though my number one choice would be Sam Raimi. I think Sam Raimi would make an amazing Batman movie. With the right script, that is. 1610 Man says WB is afraid of superhero genres being itself for DC rather and rather do different genre movies that just happen to feature superheroes in them. Well, I think that works. It's just I don't think leaning into different genres necessarily negates a lighter, more high concept atmosphere and tone. Like, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that take. Arca says, Beanie, you know what's right now is a good anime about a Superman type character? The Rurouni Kenshin remake? Really? I'm not hip. Rurouni Kenshin? Oh, this is a really old show. I never watched it. I never really got into a lot of the samurai shows on Adult Swim in like the late 90s and early 2000s. Which is weird because I like samurai movies, but I just never really got into like the samurai anime. But if you're recommending it, like I'll definitely give it a shot. 1610 Man says Weeb Man only at Adult Swim. I mean, yes, I am a weeb and I am a man, so yeah, I also like watching Adult Swim. Hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of it today. I kind of said my whole piece. Also showed you the comics I bought this week, which were Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is a book I got in single issues, but I wanted to get it in trade. I read the single issues. I like the single issues, but I don't know where I put them. And like they're in like one of these long boxes, and once they're put in a long box, I'm not going through that shit to take them out, unless I'm like taking them to a con. So this is how I'm gonna read the actual book from now on. Till I get like Tom King and Bilquis Evely, or Matthews Lopez to actually like sign the individual issues. But yeah, this is really good. I really want to check out and see how this reads as one piece, as opposed to like the 8 individual issues that I read it like month to month. I wonder if like the pacing feels different. So, yep, really like this. And I read like the beginning of this. This is really good. I have no idea why I've never heard of this before in my life. But yeah, Spider-Man Fever is, it's kind of funny. It starts off just like a standard Spider-Man comic, like Peter's just swinging around the city and then Vulture attacks him. The dialogue's also really funny because there's a bit where Vulture he lunges at Spider-Man and he's like, "You can't keep me in a cage." And Pete's like, "Wait, how do you figure that?" And he says, "Lawyer." I don't know. I thought it was funny. But yeah, like all the weird, like look at this weird shit. Like Peter's stuck in the astral plane. Like his soul's been kidnapped by a demonic spider, and Doctor Strange has to help him get back to the corporeal world. This is very trippy. I feel like it really captures the original Steve Ditko's Spider-Man vibe really well, along with the original Steve Ditko Doctor Strange vibe. So yeah, man. I'm really fascinated to see where this goes. I really like the beginning of this book, and yeah, I can't wait to check it out later. But yeah, that's about it. Arcus says, by the way, why My Adventures with Superman is on Adult Swim? It's a kids show. There's a lot going on with Adult Swim. I don't think Adult Swim is gonna be around. Not Adult Swim. I don't think Cartoon Network is gonna be around by next year. I mean, Cartoon Network just as a channel has been on the chomping block. Wow, my words today have been amazing. Cartoon Network has been on a weird chopping block for like over a decade now. So I think My Adventures with Superman is just on Adult Swim, so it could just be out. And like fulfill like some sort of like contractual obligation for like airing purposes. I don't know, but yeah, I really think it's just on Adult Swim because there's nowhere else to put it, because Cartoon Network is just kind of going down the crapper, and probably won't exist next year. So I don't know, but yeah, who watches TV channels when it's all pirated or free online and streaming? Yeah, that's like the big thing that like, just in general, a lot of these like old head corporations are like dealing with. Like streaming is like completely changed the way we view media in like a big bad way. So I don't know, man. I don't know, but yeah, that's it for me. I'm going to call it one. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate what you guys show by. It's show by. Wow. All right, I'm gonna get some sleep. But thanks for coming by. I'll catch you in the next one. Next video is, or the next video that I'm working on is a Blue Beetle video. And hopefully I have that up before the movie, but like I doubt it. I doubt it. But I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Hasta lo pasta.